You know that feeling right when you finish a series that you really love? Feeling it. Hello lovely people, my name's Nicole and today I will be talking about this lovely book, Library of Souls by Ransom Riggs. If you do not know what this is, it is the third book and the final book in the Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children trilogy. This is such a good series. If you haven't read it, I highly recommend you pick it up. It has this really interesting, really unique concept where he finds old photographs and integrates them into this story, and it's done so beautifully and the writing is just haunting. I love it. I highly recommend that you pick these up if you haven't read them. The general idea of the series is that a boy's grandfather had always told him stories of these peculiar children that he'd known in his youth, and then after his grandfather dies, he goes to find them. And it's this really cool sort of haunting, mystical powers kind of thing. So well done. So to start off, I will be giving you guys a non-spoilery review, and then I will let you know when things are about to get spoilery. But for non-spoileries, if you haven't read the rest of the series, I would leave, but yeah, I'm not gonna spoil what's in this book. So this book picks up where Hollow City left off, and Emma and Jacob are in modern day London trying to find their friends. Oh, this was done so well. It felt like it was all building up to a huge finale, just like a final book in a series should, and that it had, you know, that awesome, amazing climax and just the perfect amount of wrap up. It felt like an epic finale, which is really just what you want. The way Ransom Riggs describes each different place that they go is so beautiful and atmospheric, I feel like, is just the best way to describe it. Each distinct location has its own feel, and it's so easy to picture where they are because Ransom Riggs' use of imagery is just absolutely stunning. All the different relationships in this were fantastic. Everything felt like it was coming together, and it all made sense, and it wasn't too confusing, which I'm someone who I often get really confused in big finales, just because everything's going on at once and it's all chaotic, but I was able to follow along with what was going on impressively well. And just there are a number of plot developments in this that I thought were just so well done and were surprising, but they made sense. I gave this 5 out of 5 stars. If you haven't picked it up yet, do it. Also, just these books are so aesthetically pleasing. You have the beautiful picture on the front, the gorgeous spine, that end paper, and then I don't know if you can see it, but there's all the different signatures of all the different peculiar children. It's beautiful. Alright, so now I am going to get a little spoilery. So if you have not read Library of Souls yet, leave, because I'm about to spoil things. Full warning, spoilers abound. Okay, so let's just start off at the beginning of the book and talk about modern London. Specifically, the Comic-Con type thing. I know it wasn't like technically Comic-Con, but it was basically Comic-Con. Holy crap. So funny, and Emma keeping on like mistaking what was going on and not understanding that these were people in costumes. Oh my god, I was dying of laughter. So well done. Such a fun like addition. And I really love the concept of people from the past juxtaposed with the future, or like the present day, and them trying to sort of figure out all of what's going on. Oh my god, it was so funny. Then of course we immediately got that contrast of the busy modern day to this super creepy, like, what was it, like Victorian, I guess, kind of era of this town that they get taken to. that is just so, like, skin crawly. Oh my god, it's so easy to picture everything that Ransom writes. I feel like his use of imagery is just so vivid, and I mean, really the best way for me to describe his writing is just atmospheric. Like, I really can feel and picture everywhere they go, and each location that they went to, whether it was riding on the boat through the town, or the Ambro Den, or that street with all the shop windows on it, or Bentham's mansion, all of it I could just picture so easily, and they all felt really distinct. They each had their own feeling that they evoked. And, oh, I love Ransom Riggs' writing. It's beautiful. And then speaking of the Ambro, I will say that the whole, like, drug twisting minds and that sort of what's keeping people under control thing is a trope that I've seen used a couple times, but I feel like it was done so well, and the whole idea of it being like the souls of the peculiar children, I feel like was so, the moment when we found that out was such just like, it felt like the world stopped spinning. It was just like, what? It was so well written. And just the combination of, you have these, you know, really just almost savage addicts on the street, and the, you know, the cage fighting, and then finding out that Shannon was an addict, and just what it does to people's faces. The entire thing I feel like was really well crafted. Okay, now I want to talk about the Hollows, because we, like, I mean, we knew what they were, but we never really knew or, like, got to interact much with Hollows before. It was always just sort of in the context of, you know, you had someone explaining, this is the history of the Hollows, or a Hollow's attacking. Like, that's pretty much just the limit of what we got, and I feel like we, in such, like, a subconscious almost way, learned so much about the Hollows in this book. I mean, we learned a lot about, like, the technical aspects of the Hollows and how they were created, but just in Jacob's interactions with them, I feel like we learned so much about them. And can we just, Jacob with his Hollow was adorable. Such a cute little pet, and it made me love a Hollow. And I love the moments where he was, like, feeling weirdly protective of his Hollow, and other people were like, dude, it's a Hollow. Like, why are you upset that it's being hurt? It's like, yeah, but it's like, it's my Hollow. It was so cute, and I loved it. And then just this power that sort of, it felt like it came out of nowhere, but it didn't. I mean, it had that, like, holy crap aspect of feeling like it came out of nowhere, but looking back through the books and looking at, you know, Jacob's power and what we know about it, it makes sense. I also really appreciate that it wasn't just, oh cool, I have this new power, I'm automatically awesome at it. No, he struggled with it for so long, and it almost killed him a lot of times. And he specifically, like, we can feel how difficult it is for him to control this. And it was done, I feel like I'm saying this a lot about everything, but it was just done so well, and I loved it. And then Emma. Then we have Emma. I feel like Emma really stood out to me in this book. I mean, like, obviously she was one of the main characters in the previous books, but she did kind of feel like a sidekick to me in Miss Peregrine and in Hollow City. And in this one, I feel like she really sort of got to have her shining moment. Maybe it's just that I just wasn't paying attention to her in the previous books, but she really, like, shone to me in this book, and I really saw just how fantastic she is. She, you know, she's definitely, you definitely see evidence of the time period she's from, but she never lets any of that stop her or hold her back or, you know, intimidate her. she refuses to let Jacob just sort of be the savior. She understands that, you know, he has powers that she doesn't, and she has powers that he doesn't, and they work together. But at the same time, she's not just like, I'm a strong female character, I can kick butt, I don't need a boy, blah blah blah. Which, like, that's fine, but come on, you're allowed to be feminine and still be a strong female character. And she is feminine, and she does have emotions. I mean, you have these moments where she's terrified that Jacob's gonna get hurt, and she makes, you know, him promise, don't you dare die on me, don't you dare scare me like that. And so we have these moments of vulnerability, and it's not like they're these sort of, oh my gosh, rare moments of vulnerability. Like, that's a part of who she is. And she's just, I love Emma. I really love Emma. She's fantastic. I feel like the whole Library of Souls thing was so interesting. And I'm not quite, I mean, there is a part of me that feels like it was just a complete 180. So, I mean, we had this is what the whites, I think, I don't know, are trying to do, and this is what their goal is, and we're trying to stop that, and then suddenly, now we're in a complete opposite direction. I don't know if Ransom Riggs had originally planned for it to be this sudden, nope, that's not what they're doing something else, or if he, like, changed his mind halfway through as to what the end goal for the whites was, but I like this better than the original idea of what they were doing, and I loved the description of going into that library and just finding all these different substances and souls of people with different powers, and the idea of, like, they're trying to find the most powerful souls. I love that the Peculiars had, like, their own ancient language. I feel like that was a really cool touch. I always love learning more about sort of the lore and the history of the Peculiars. I always think that's really interesting, and the whole character of Bentham was just really cool. I think, you know, this sort of complex morality, and, you know, I mean, both Miss Peregrine and her other brother have very distinct, very strong personalities, and so I think it was interesting having this brother who feels like he's caught in the middle and doesn't really know what side to pick, doesn't know, you know, which sibling he's supposed to be loyal to, and a combination of that with just this history he has and the lore he sort of presented to the rest of the gang, I think was just so cool. And then the ending. Oh, the ending. I was so worried because I had no idea how sort of, you know, once they defeated the big bad, how everything would wrap up. Because Ransom Riggs could have just left it at, oh, they defeated the big bad and life goes on. Something's gonna happen, I don't know what. And I would have been so upset. I'm really glad that we got, you know, 50 pages of everything wrapping up, everything coming together. This is how they're going to proceed with their lives. Because you don't get that a lot in books. A lot of times, you know, you might get maybe a chapter, you know, 10 pages of sort of wrap up, but we really got to see how things are going to go forward, how things are going to progress, how people are going to continue living their lives. And I was so worried about Jacob and Emma because the age thing, and they couldn't be together, and then they could, and I will say that felt a little bit too convenient, but I'm gonna let it slide just because they're adorable together. I also really appreciate the fact that Jacob didn't want to wipe his parents' memory, just because, you know, he's their son, and I appreciate it. I really respect that he's like, I don't want to just get off scot-free, you know, this happened. I was a little bit of a shitty son for just, like, abandoning them and not telling them where I went. I should have to deal with this. I can't just magic all my problems away. I really, really respect that. Like I said, I gave Hollow City 5 stars out of 5 stars. I absolutely loved this. It was so well done. Such a great conclusion. I honestly cannot wait to see what else Ransom Riggs writes in the future. Alright, let me know what your thoughts are on the Miss Peregrine series. I love you, and I will see you later. Bye!